Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another super cool radio interview. I'm your host, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have an incredible guest who I'm excited to have back on the podcast. It's been exactly 23 months, not like I'm counting, since she's appeared on the podcast. Please welcome the incredible and badass Suzi Moon.
Ooh, hi, everybody. I'm back, and this is probably my third different hairstyle. I've got like a different hair, like for every interview we've done.
Yeah, I mean, this is our fourth interview, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a different hairstyle each time. So,
yeah,
for sure. We're just rolling with it. We're evolving.
Exactly. Well, I mean, a lot has changed for you and me both. Obviously, since our last interview with everything. But I know we got some huge things to discuss, obviously, in this interview. But obviously, the change. Obviously, I got this very nice hat that I'm wearing.
I'm all about hat. I feel a little naked without a hat on. I feel like I got to go find a hat but I don't want to take away from your hat thing. That's like your thing. So I'm just in awe of it. It really suits you.
Well, it pairs very nicely with my Turbulent Hearts shirt that I have on.
Shirt. Hey, that's so cool. That's the first time I've seen it on somebody since we pressed it.
It's very nice.
Oh, good. Okay, great. It looks good. Like it's soft enough.
Oh yeah, I'm a fan. I'm a fan. Now I kind of wrinkled it now that I lifted it up, but
yeah, no, that's great. Thank you.
Of course. So that's kind of obviously the big news. Kind of jumping into it, you have this awesome Turbulent Hearts release coming up May 23rd. I'm kind of curious, how did this release come about?
Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I've wanted to re-release this music for a long time. So anybody who watches you has probably seen at least one of my interviews with you. So they probably know a little bit about Suzi Moon and what I've done with that. But Turbulent Hearts, that band predates Suzi Moon. And it was like Suzi Moon with training wheels. Really the first band I was in that I was fronting, playing lead guitar, really head of the band. So in that band, I got to try a lot of different stuff songwriting wise and really just throw the spaghetti at the wall and see what stuck and what sounded good. So there's 21 songs on this vinyl. And it spans almost a 10-year time of my life, basically my 20s, when I was just writing so much. I could not stop picking up my guitar and writing songs about what was going on in Los Angeles, where I was living, my work life, my friends' life, my romantic life, all those good things that we like to write songs about. And it's just such a time capsule for me, a special time when I was quite a bit younger and very, I wouldn't say naive, but there's this sort of hopeful, excited energy that you get from this music. Where there weren't any rules. We weren't trying to be a big major label band. We were just trying to have a lot of fun and play music. So there's a freedom to the songs. And this is some of the greatest music I think I've ever written. These are some of my favorite songs. So for me to get to re-release them on a vinyl, properly, is something I've wanted to do for a really long time.
Well, definitely, for sure. I know, obviously, with our interviews, we kind of focus more on your solo material, but obviously, I'm familiar, and I assume my audience is too, with Turbulent Hearts, or at least have heard the name. So I'm kind of curious. From my research, I think it was 5 or 6 years that Turbulent Hearts has not been really active. So how did you know this is the right time to release this?
Well, like I said, it's something I have wanted to do for a long time. And the guys I was in the band with, Jay, the drummer, and Mark, the bass player, they're like my brothers. We're so close. We have a group chat. We're still chatting with each other. We have been all these years, just shit talking each other and catching up, seeing how the other one's doing, what everyone's up to, So they really are very close, family to me. And I told them, guys, with the Turb stuff that we did, we released it DIY, self-burn CDs, Bandcamp stuff, not professionally done. The most professional thing we did with Turbulent Hearts was we did get released on a label in the UK called Headcheck Records, and they released 2 songs on a vinyl, and they actually released 3 of the EPs as one full set on a CD. So I called it a 3P because there was 3 EPs on one finally. So it was kind of the proto version of what I'm doing now. Because then after that, we recorded another EP. So we had all this music, but it was like not really out there like the right way. And since I've made more fans and reached more people in the last couple of years with Suzi Moon, I thought, well, maybe those people would like to hear some other stuff that I've done. Since I'm not doing anything new right now, I can give them a taste of a period of my life and some songs to kind of hold them over until I come back, you know? And I approached Pirates Press. I asked them, I said, you know, this is something that's really dear to my heart, and you don't have to do it. Like, I'll do it DIY again, but it's a dream of mine to release this on vinyl. And they're like, yeah, like, we want to do that with you. So I love them so much. They always support me and have my back. So yeah, we just got to it, got down to the artwork, finding the right pictures, finding all the songs. Because, man, so many years have gone by. I've got like a Google Drive with some songs. You know, there's some stuff on an old hard drive. I'm asking Mark, do you have Redwood Nights? Like the second time we re-recorded the vocal, like we're just trying to track down the right songs, right? Because like over time, you kind of lose track of the original files and stuff. So that was a whole adventure that we had to do. But we did find them all. And I got them to Mass Giorgini, who is a legendary producer and engineer. And he's a good friend of mine who worked on all the Suzi Moon stuff. And he polished all of those songs and made them sound cohesive, made them sound brighter, louder, less DIY, and put them together basically for vinyl.
Very nice. So I'm kind of curious with the hunt for finding, you know, the files for these songs. What was the most difficult song you had to track down for this release?
Honestly, I think it was Redwood Nights, because we had like 10 different versions of it. Where like it was like we only went in the studio twice for it, but I did re-record the vocal, and I actually sent Mass the wrong one at first. And Mass is like a very busy guy, and I don't want to waste his freaking time, you know?
Oh, yeah,
and after he'd sent me everything and was like, it's done, I like put it on my Bluetooth and I'm listening, and I hear Redwood Nights, and I was like, fuck, that's not right. That's not the right version. Like, I know these like little nuances in my vocal delivery, you know? And I was like, that's not right. And so I freaked out. I thought like, shit, I fucked this all up. I ruined the whole thing. Where the hell is that song? You know, because that was actually the one that Mark had sent me. So he clearly thought it was the right one too, you know. So we had to go back. We got in touch with the original engineer, and we're like, do you have it somewhere? And he's like, I gotta look. You know, that one's old. That's from the first batch of songs we ever did. So he's like, I gotta find it, you know. But he did find it, and I did get it to Mass, and he did the thing. He fixed it. He made it sound good, and so now it's on there the right way.
Well, that's good. I'm glad, you know, obviously, that it's the correct version that's on the vinyl release. I'm glad it all worked out. You know, very happy ending with that. That it's on the release is correct.
Yeah, it's just like you don't want to miss something like that, because it is such a big deal, and you only get one chance. Like once it goes to print, it goes to press. Like you can't go back and fix that and redo it. And we're only pressing, I think 300 of these. So it's a limited edition thing just for people who care. I'm not trying to sell 10,000 of them. You know, I want them to be a special thing for the people who really, really want to have like this piece of my collection, like my music collection. So it's like, if you don't get it right, and that's with art, that's with even like the font, the words, like if you got to misspell anything, like I really went over it with a fine tooth comb. I'm like, do not fuck this up, Suzi. Like, do not fuck this up. But it's perfect. It's actually perfect.
Well, I'm glad everything is perfect on there. Yeah, because any kind of misspelling, then you got to live with it for like the rest of your life. Like, oh, you spelled this word wrong or
you
whatever.
You have a copy of Dumb and in Love on vinyl? You do, right?
I do not, unfortunately.
You don't? Okay, so I've got one right here. I might grab it in a second. So Dumb and in Love, I did fuck something up pretty badly on that, and I have to live with that for the rest of my life. And it's something I missed in basically, like once the artwork's done, I send all of that to Pirates Press Records, and they have an art guy on their end that he puts into their template to make sure it all fits and everything's right, you know, and then I get it sent back to approve it. And something happened between me sending them the art and the art coming back to me where, and it's a small thing, like it's okay, I'm okay with it now, but on the lyrics sheet, it says like, it's supposed to say side A, and then all the songs on side A, and then side B, all the songs, right? But there's just 2 blank spots where side A and side B should be. Like, it doesn't say anything. Like that, those words just didn't somehow make it in there. And so I missed that and I approved it, right? And then when it comes to me, I'm looking at it, I'm like, why does it look empty right there? It's empty, you know? And then I was like, oh my fucking God. I totally like let that slip. And I was just too excited and I was just ready to go. And I wasn't paying attention. I didn't look hard enough. I didn't get enough people to look at it, you know? And then 500 of those got printed, you know? And it was like, cool. I had all the boxes in my living room and I'm like, every single one of them is wrong. Like, and that album means so much to me. It was really something that was so special to me, to have something fucked up, you know, just like, I was like, that's so me. Like that's just so something that I would do. So you gotta double, triple check and like really make sure that things are perfect.
Oh,
And
for sure.
I'm a perfectionist, so that fucked me up. Let me see. I think I got it like right here too.
I have a funny story for not checking spelling.
Okay.
So this was back like when I kind of first started doing more of like the weekly interviews that the format's kind of more familiar with nowadays.
Yeah.
And it was 2021 and I spelled my own name wrong on a social media flyer that I posted.
Oh no.
So yeah, so there's supposed to be an E in Matthew. At least that's how I spell my name.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was looking it all over and I was like, all right, cool. This will be fine. And yeah, then I posted it and then I look and it's like, I spelled my own goddamn name wrong. So,
Yeah, these things happen, right? Yeah, I can't find it. God doesn't want me to show it. He said not today, Suzi.
hey, that's
We're just gonna move. We're gonna move past it.
If God is like, this is not gonna happen, then it's not gonna. I gotta respect that.
He's like, it's not that important. Just let it go. Yeah, but see, it happens, right? And like, especially when you're working, and you've got deadlines and stuff like that, and like you're trying to get stuff out, like just a little thing like that can slip through and then haunt you for years.
Oh yeah, and like kind of similar with you, like I do everything in house. So I do all the artwork, I do all the editing, everything. So if there is any mistakes, like it's all me. Like I have
no one to blame but yourself.
Exactly. And problem with working by yourself is that there is no checks and balances. You don't have someone else going, hey, this is wrong, or hey, this doesn't look right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you have to be your own checks and balances, and that I kind of struggle with the most because I was like, all right, cool, I just want to get this done, or I only have a few hours to get this done because I got whatever else going on in my life. So it's kind of hard to be perfect on a deadline all by yourself.
And then a lot of times you've got like the momentum of that initial post. So it's like, what are you going to do? Delete it and repost it when you've already gotten like the interaction you were looking for and all that stuff. So you got to just bite it. Just be like, okay, we messed that one up, but hopefully not again.
Yeah, I mean, so far, luckily, everything else, like I've been triple checking everything I've did. Plus, with like now that my editing skills and graphic design skills have improved, like it's easier to kind of, check for those mistakes. But that was like when I really first was like, that was like maybe a year and a half, 2 years into the podcast.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like it's a learning process, and now you're like that much more diligent about checking everything, right? And for this Turbs release, I was like, there is no way anything is going to slip through. I'm going to look at this, like I'm going to look at it and then not look at it and then go back the next day and look again, with fresh eyes and make sure, because you don't want to misspell somebody in the band's name. You've been in the band with them for how many years, and you just swap letters on accident or something annoying like that. So it really like pays to take a little time and just, okay, let's make sure, let's go back. Let's make sure it's all okay.
Oh, for sure. You did your due diligence, took care of obviously this release, but I'm kind of curious with the track order and stuff, like how was it putting together like the track listing for that? Did you have a hand in that?
Oh, so that was probably the easiest thing. We just did it completely chronological.
Oh, okay. Right on.
So we released 4 EPs during the time that we were a band, and each EP, those like they were 5 songs each. Each 5 was perfect. Like we had already figured that out, right? So it goes in order. So it's basically telling the story of the band, I guess. So, and you can hear maybe how my songwriting changes a little bit or grows. I wouldn't say it gets better or worse, because there are gems throughout all of that. One of my very favorite songs I've ever written, Panic. It's the first song on the whole thing, and like it's just such a pure punk rock song that doesn't have a lot of like a lot of thought behind it, but in like a really good way. Like it was just one of those like really organic, quickly written, just bare bones kind of songs. And that's the first song that was ever released for Turbulent Hearts. And then you take something like the very last song. Actually, I can't say the very last song because the very last song on the record is actually written from the first batch, but never got recorded because I kept working on it for years and years. I do that, Matt. I'm a song hoarder. I have song notes like in my phone and stuff, and I've always been like this. I will take years to write a song if it doesn't feel like the right time to do it. I'll just keep that thought in my head, the memory of the song, and maybe go back and listen to it, work on it over years. And then I think when it's time for that song to come out, that's when it should come out. Actually, on the Suzi Moon record, Dumb and in Love, there's a song called Freedom. It's the last song on the record.
Yep.
That's a Turb song. That's one of the first Turb songs I ever wrote. So that's like the oldest Suzi Moon song, technically, because that song was written like 10 years ago. And it just didn't feel right for Turbs. But I wrote it when I was starting Turbs and I was getting back into songwriting and stuff like that. And I was like, man, I love this song. Like, okay, I'll just always love you, and like your time will come, or maybe it won't, But then when Dumb and in Love was getting put together, I was like, man, I really want to release Freedom. Like I want to do it this way. And I want it seems like it's going to close out the record really nicely and kind of just, it's so different from every other song on Dumb and in Love because it's a little folky, but like a folk punk thing. And I thought, well, that kind of opens the door for me to come back next time and do sort of whatever. Like it doesn't have to sound like Dumb and in Love, like an extension of that. Like I can come back with like a different sort of feel wherever I am right now. And Freedom's kind of like the palate cleanser, I think.
Well, it's kind of true, the backstory with that song, because like when I listened to the record, I always thought that one kind of stood out because it was different from the rest. It had like just a whole different vibe to it. So that kind of the backstory of that kind of makes more sense now.
Yeah, it's just a song that I've had for a long time that I love, and that was just its moment to shine. I found a place for it, like I did want to release it, but it didn't make sense on any of the Turbulent Heart stuff. And once you hear that, you'll kind of understand it doesn't make sense on this, but it does make sense on Dumb and in Love. And the song Walking Away, that's the last song on the Turbs EP, or sorry, now it's a vinyl, now it's a full length. The last song was written during the first batch, but it doesn't make sense at that part of my life. Like I didn't need to release it right then. Like it needed more time to like marinate and, become what it was going to be. So I really believe songs like they deserve time. Sometimes they just come out in 10 minutes and you're like, that's perfect. This is now, this is it. This is the moment, but some songs like they just need to sit with you for a few years until they find their place.
For sure. I agree with that because, as we were talking about with some stuff, maybe just the timing is just not right, or just you don't have the right feel for it or something like that. Like there's something, telling you like, no, this is not the time yet to release it.
Yeah. Same with the Turbs vinyl. Like now is the time, like it wasn't the time to re-release all that stuff. Like now I've got the backing of Pirates Press Records. Now I've got a newer fan base, more people that those songs will reach, and I want them to reach people because I think people might like them. So now there's like there's more behind it to make that release make sense. And for me, having been doing this for close to 20 years now, I want all of my stuff accessible to the people who care. And I want to be able to pull from all of my catalog. As I get older as an artist, as I go like figure out how it's going to be when I get back out there, I'd love to be able to play a couple Turbulent Heart songs and Suzi Moon songs and maybe like a Savette song, and like now I can do that because everything's out there. So people know what they're going to get, like it all comes from me. It's just different eras.
Oh, definitely. I think that's really cool too, to have those kind of like different eras. Like you can see like, this was this time in my life, and this time, this was this, other time in my life. I think it's so cool to kind of just pull from everything. It's kind of like with, other bands that got, the classic hits, and they got some of the newer stuff and some of the, all the weird stuff in between. Like, that's why I love Alice Cooper, because like he has his like early, like, the classic rock, thing, and then like in the 80s he was doing a lot of different things and then he kind of got like into like the more like classic sound of rock and roll again, but just all those different eras of his life. Like that's why I'm a fan of his work.
He's just the best, and I always go back to Love It to Death. Like always, always, always. That is just one of the most perfect rock and roll albums ever made. The really weird stuff works so well. I love it. Like I want that, because he's telling a story. So funny you bring him up though, because I had a dream about him last night. But in this dream, he was a woman, because my brain is stupid and my brain goes, well, Alice is a girl, right? So in my dream, he was a woman. He was like kind of an old, ugly lady, but he was still Alice Cooper and he was very important. And my old band, Savette, was like auditioning for him to sign us to some label or something, but we couldn't get our amps to the stage. Like we couldn't get our shit together. Like we couldn't get ready to get on there. And I don't know what that means, but my husband calls them inconvenience mares that I have, where like just these like little inconveniences happen that kind of get my life off track. And that's what I have nightmares about. So Alice is there.
It just happened to involve Alice Cooper.
Just did. Yeah. Because he knew he was going to be talked about tonight.
Oh, exactly. Well, I mean, I love Alice Cooper. Just, he's such a phenomenal musician. Just the way he's able to, transform, his stage show and his music to fit like different, as we're talking about eras of his life and just different styles. I could talk about him for a long time, but he's incredible.
Fantastic. He's just a perfect showman. Really like top tier.
Oh yeah, and he just has such a great mind for music. I interviewed his bassist Chuck Garrick about a little over a year ago, and there's a very specific like set of Alice Cooper shows that Nita Strauss was not a part of because she was, I think she was sick or something. She couldn't be at these shows. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of asked him, because he played a bass solo instead of, Nita Strauss's guitar solo. And I was like, hey, how did that come about? Because like he only did it for a few shows and I just happened to see him at one of those shows. And he's like, Alice said we should do something different. So we did a bass solo.
Cool. Yeah, he still cares, like, to make it interesting and to give the fans and the crowd something special in that moment.
For sure.
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be Alice Cooper.
Same. I mean, I love the Alice Cooper sidebar, but I got to get back on track here a little bit.
We could go on and on, but
oh yeah, I mean, maybe the next interview will just be Alice Cooper.
Alice Cooper fan club show.
Yes. But I did want to tell you, you're talking about like songs that you've written, obviously a while ago, and you let them kind of marinate for like years. So I'm kind of curious, like, how do you know when a song is complete?
Ooh, that's a good question. I mean, I know because it's just done. Like, I don't know, it's just the song tells you or something. Like, I'm really, I wouldn't say snobby, but like I'm very much a stickler for song structure. And like, that's where I think it pays to be a perfectionist, is having, the right verse, the right pre-chorus, the right chorus, like, and everything has to flow in a certain way and like build and come down and like keep people interested. So once you've got all of those parts and they've fit together like a puzzle piece, if you can play it over and over again, you're like, this is good. Then it's like, well, it's done, but then I take it to Drew and I go, is it really done? And he's like, you're doing too much here. Like, you're doing too much. And that's another time when you do need somebody else to kind of like check you, right? Because we can get all up in our head and be like, oh, I'm the greatest songwriter that's ever lived. And it's just like noise rock for like 25 minutes or something. And there's a time and a place for that, not in my bands, but um, having people that you really trust and that are talented, that you admire, that bring something to the table. Same like with Alice Cooper and his bass player. He knew he could trust him to do something interesting that worked for the song, right? You want to have those collaborators in your life that can tell you if something is just getting a little off track, and like how to dial it in. And that's something that Drew is so great with. He's also a song snob, and he and I both really love pop music, and not just like, I'm not talking like 2000s Britney Spears, although we do love that, but I mean pop as far as even Beatles, right? And like classic pop structures, and like keeping it simple, straight to the point, not spending too much time in one place, but also not going too many places, like there really is an art to that. And that's one of my favorite parts about being a musician, is creating the song and taking your time with it and making sure it's as easy for people to listen to as possible. Like, you don't want to go over people's heads. Like, the whole point is to relate to people and to find this like common ground, something also that Tom Petty is just so great at, just cut the crap and keep it fucking simple. So yeah, I've been very, very blessed to have great people in my life who've helped me to do that.
Definitely, for sure. And I'm kind of curious, like going along with that, like obviously, working with Drew and kind of, being a check for, your music, what's like the best advice he's given you, or like the best like situation, like moment or something where he's giving you either critique or great advice to improve a song?
Well, I will say the song that he's got the heaviest hand in, because we just started to kind of explore this songwriting together a little later in Suzi Moon, because a lot of that Dumb and in Love stuff was actually written before I even knew him. And he did help me in the studio to clean up things. But the Gold Record Autograph song that's on Animal, that song's got Drew all over it. We actually really, really wrote that one together. And I believe that that is the best Suzi Moon song as far as like a song goes, like a very perfect song, as close to perfect as one can get. Yeah, just like the melody, like this. Actually, I think I came up with that. But the way that he played it, right? It's like, I'm not a great guitar player like he is. I'm more of a rhythm. I've got more of like a feel kind of thing. And he takes that and like goes bigger with it, or pulls it back if I'm going too far. The pre-chorus for that and the bridge for that, we just did it all together. And like that give and take kind of thing is really great, because I hadn't actually written songs with anybody since I was in Turbulent Hearts. So it had been quite a few years where I'd written a lot of the Dumb and in Love stuff, written most of the songs on Call the Shots, and Sonic Attraction from Animal had already been written, but Gold Record Autograph was like totally new. And so was Animal. So those are two songs that he really like helped me shape and, just dial in a little bit. And I think they're some of the best songs I've ever done. So I'd love to see, and we will, when we're done making babies, we will write songs again, but to see what we're really capable of together, because we only just like scratched the surface.
Well, I'm very excited. Obviously, when that moment comes for obviously new music, I'm very curious, because obviously
It'll be a minute.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know it's gonna be a little bit, but just interacting with you and Drew, and like obviously talking with you guys both have like a great mind for like music and like what you guys want out of it. So I'm very, very excited when that does happen in the future. The new music, how it's gonna sound.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. I'm also totally not gonna put my kids through like any kind of touring situation. It's just not for us. Like, but the cool thing about punk rock is it's not like an ageist sort of genre. Like the older you are, it seems like the more respect you get. So I'm not really in a hurry. I already put in a good like 18 years. Okay. So like I'm owed a little break. Everybody can go out and do their thing. I'll be back. Can't say when, but I'll be nice and old, and we'll see how that goes.
No, for sure. I respect that too. Like, obviously, to take the moment for your family and stuff. Like, I respect that.
Thank you. Yeah. I mean, this is like the greatest time of my life, and I only get this one time, right? With like my babies being little, Like, they're so precious, they're so wonderful. I want all the babies. They're just amazing. And like, this is just such a really, really short time of my life when they're so small, and I've already gotten to do so much with music and touring and recording and all that stuff, so it's like really just living this and being 100% like all in. I wouldn't trade it for any tour in the whole world.
It's a time that you're not going to get back for, to spend with your family. Like, no, I completely understand.
There will always be cool shows. Always.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see how we approach it with some time off and a little bit more age, and just also see where punk rock goes in the next couple of years and what people are interested in and what the scene looks like, and I'm watching. Like, I'm not always posting on Instagram, but I'm keeping an eye on everybody, and I gotta say, it's boring. Everyone's doing the same old shit. There's some bands that are cool and doing new stuff, but like, I'm not missing it right now.
No, I could definitely see that. It's kind of funny. Like, I interviewed Blag from the Dwarves, and he kind of said the same thing.
Yeah, Blag's great. Yeah, he's cool. Yeah. He gets it. He's been around forever, right? And so, I mean, Dwarves have built something that nobody can take away from them. That's something that is unique. It's 100% Dwarves. He doesn't compromise his artistic vision, and that works. But it's also one of those bands that, like, nowadays you couldn't start a new Dwarves, like, you wouldn't get past the gate. Like, you'd be so canceled right away. So that's boring. And I'm sure he looks at the bands out there, everyone's just playing it really safe and not trying to say the wrong thing, and everyone kind of looks the same, and it's just sort of like not that interesting. So obviously there's a lot of good that's happened in the world as far as people being nice to each other, but there's not really any danger to punk rock. And sometimes you just want to be scared shitless and see something that kind of shocks you, and which is why we love Alice Cooper, so maybe things will change in a way where there's a little bit more of like an openness to bands pushing the boundaries a little bit, and just a little more freedom artistically, because it doesn't feel like there is a lot of freedom artistically. Like, you do kind of have to stay in line in order to be a part of the crew, the scene, whatever. And that doesn't make for great punk rock.
No, I definitely agree with that. And there is a lot of like, the people are, and it's kind of not just punk rock. I think it's just kind of more in general that people are scared to take risks because they're scared to fail, or that the people are going to not, look at, that people aren't going to like it or something like that. So they go with, I know this will work, so I'm going to do this kind of thing.
Yeah. The whole point is to stay true to yourself. And there's just a lot of like, well, let me blend in, because if I blend in, then nobody can attack me. Like, and with the internet, it's like, there's so much good that comes from social media and being able to share things quickly. But the attack button is so intense, and they will take you down in a day and you'll never be heard from again, and like, that's terrifying.
Yeah, no, it kind of is. Just the whole, like, your life can be ruined in like just one instant because someone didn't like you on social media or something, and it just like I can get how daunting that can be for like somebody. That's why they're like don't want to take risks with stuff. Like, I get, but also at some point, like, how we've seen a lot of people like they've been canceled for how many times at this point, and they're still around. Like, they're still like on mainstream TV.
Oh yeah, yeah. Some people, they're just very resilient and they just keep coming back. Even when we toured with the Queers the first time, I want to say that was 2021. Joe Queer had been canceled a good like 3 times in the last 5 years. He doesn't give a fuck. Like, and his fans don't give a fuck. But again, he's like from another generation too, where I don't think it affects him nearly as much, like emotionally, probably, as people my age and your age, who, grew up with this and are, I think, just a little bit deeper and more easily affected, by it. The Blags and the Joe Queers of the world, they're already established. You can't really take it away from them. But if you're trying to establish your band and your legacy, and somebody says you did something and that thing might not even be true, but it gets enough heat behind it, what the fuck are you going to do?
No, for sure. That's kind of the sad part with, like, obviously social media is such a great tool, but then, like, also there's that side of it that even if something isn't true, people can still believe it, or still, like, now they believe it's the truth when it's really not. And that's kind of the sad part with it. But kind of going to your point, like with like Blag and Joe and all that, like they grew up there wasn't social media when they were, touring and all of that. Like there wasn't social media, so there wasn't that way. Like there's other ways that they connected with the audience that wasn't online.
Yeah, and I'm sure lots of people during those times probably did try to take them down, but they just went to the next town and nobody had heard of it.
Exactly. I mean, I saw like the new, like old news clips, and like these people are protesting like whatever show is coming to their area. They're like outside protests, and that was I guess that's like the old school version of like cancellation.
Like great publicity, actually.
Yeah, exactly, and that's all it really did. Like that's why Marilyn Manson got like huge in the late mid to late 90s because of that.
Yeah, I remember that very, very clearly. I was young when Columbine happened, but it was like somehow tied to Marilyn Manson. Like he was the poster guy for all that stuff. And it's like, well, you can't really blame him. Like
that's the wrong person.
You can't blame him. Like he didn't do it. Like there's probably a lot deeper stuff at play here, but that just turned him into a way bigger star. It'll be interesting to see how things change in the next couple of years. And hopefully there's just more openness, I think, to people having different opinions. Like it doesn't need to be everybody has the same opinion. And if you don't have mine, then you are just an evil, bad person. It's like, well, maybe there's something behind that, and I think originally in punk rock, there were lots of people with different opinions on things and lots of different types of people, but the thing that brought them together was their weirdness that they shared and their love for the music, and having like an open mind and being able to maybe listen to people a little more than just shutting them right down, because I've always believed that most people are inherently good. So, even if somebody believes something or votes for somebody or whatever it might be, like, is that really a bad person? Or they're just things that they care about that are different than the things you care about. And it doesn't make either of you right or wrong. Like, it's totally okay. Let's just like, let people be, unless someone's like actively hurting you, like what the fuck how is that really, really hurt, like affecting you,
No, I definitely agree. And, I know I haven't really touched, this, my podcast, I do talk about it in like my personal life and my close friends, but like, I do believe like people do have to be more open-minded to stuff. And even if someone disagrees with you on whatever opinion about, whatever, it could be politics, religion, life in general, that it's okay. Because either you're going to strengthen your, decision in something or your choice on something, or you're going to go, maybe I can adjust my mindset. Maybe it's actually something that is, different, but also maybe they could be correct with stuff. Like I'm always open that I could be wrong about something. Like when someone asks me for advice, I'll go, well, I might be wrong about this. I always tell them that. But I think people are just so insecure sometimes with themselves that they have to shut down conversation because they're not fully, committed on their stance in life.
And they might not even be that knowledgeable about it. They might just be going along with that thing because they heard a lot of other people say it, So like it really pays to do your research on things. And at least if you're going to be pissed about something, know what you're being pissed about, and like really have the information to back it up and see if that's really how you feel. Like sit with it, But it's so funny. I'm like in like some recipe groups on Facebook, and the things people get heated about, just about the right ingredients for like an old-timey pie that somebody's grandma made from like Dutch, Pennsylvania. Well, they didn't make it that way in my county. It's like even little things like that. It's like it's okay if there's a couple different versions of this pie. Like we're gonna be okay, you guys. It's just a fucking pie. Does it taste good? That's all that matters. So on a smaller scale, who fucking cares what's in the pie? If it tastes good and makes you feel good, then it's okay. Like, there we go.
Sorry, that is hilarious, by the way. And I could totally see that happening too. Like, no, this pie was not made this way. I know for sure because I know everything.
Oh yeah,
hold on.
I'm in the comment section just like chuckling. Like,
oh, that is.
You guys got too much time on your hands. Go make the pie, okay?
And make it your own way.
Yeah, share it with some people you love and have a nice time.
Exactly. I like that.
Doesn't need to be so complicated.
Yes. Like, and again, like, it's funny, like, I kind of stopped talking to some people because it's like either they have nothing positive to say about life or they just have, like, there's just so much going on in their life and they're doing, like, nothing about it. They're just letting the chaos unfold. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do me over here. I'm just going to stay away from that.
Yeah. No, that's good. You got to protect your energy a little bit.
For sure. Sure.
Yeah.
But no, I do just got a few more things before we wrap up this interview. So I got two questions that I wanted to ask you because I'm curious for you. So obviously we talked a lot about Turbulent Hearts in this interview. So I'm kind of curious for you. What's like your favorite memory from the band?
Ooh, wow. Man, that band was like, there was a lot of years. There was a lot of years. Well, we used to play at a club called the Redwood in downtown LA. That was like our home base. And it's a bar that I worked at previously. And then I didn't work at. And then I wrote a song about it. And then after I wrote the song about it, they were like, play here all the time. Like, so it really just became like our drinking spot, the place we'd see other bands, just hangout spot, definitely played more shows there than any other place. So I just have really fond memories of being at the Redwood with my band and playing shows there. And like when you've played someplace so many times, and also I used to work there, so like I know the kitchen, like, like when you have that kind of like comfortability in a place, you can do anything you want to do, and you just feel really free and comfortable. It never felt like I was nervous and stressed out, like I was putting on like some very important show for very important bigwigs or something. It was like I was just having a genuinely good time playing to people that I consider my friends. They're my peers. Like, this is our spot, So I'll never get that moment back, right? And you look back on it and you're like, wow, that was a really special time when we had like our little scene at this place, and that was our spot that we went to, and there's even a fucking song about it. That's how special it is. So the Redwood is like that, like Turbulent Hearts and the Redwood, like they don't exist without each other, and I wouldn't have started the band unless I had worked there, because that's where I started seeing other bands play. And I was like, man, I miss being in a band. Like I should start a band again. And that's where I met the people that ended up being in the band, So yeah, that would be really, really special. A second thing would be playing punk rock bowling with Turbulent Hearts, because that was my first time playing punk rock bowling, and that led me to meeting Drew, because Drew played punk rock bowling that same day with his band. So Turbulent Hearts led me to my husband, which led me to where I am today, So if I hadn't done Turbs, I never would have done punk rock bowling. I never would have met Drew. I wouldn't be right here. So yeah, those are the big things that stick out to me.
Right on. All right, so now let's close out this interview. I got last fun question, not music related. Good.
I want to wear the
hat. Well, next time I see you in person, I'm gonna have this hat. So.
Okay. Well, next time you see me in person, I'll have my own hat. How about that?
Well, fine. Well, maybe I'll have a second hat.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So non-music question. We talked a lot about music in this interview. So non-music related question. So obviously I know, like, through touring and the bands you were part of, you met many musicians and people throughout that. So I'm curious for you, who's the most famous person you have met who is not a musician?
Oh, um, well, I've met a lot of famous people just from like the restaurants I worked at in LA, right? It's like kind of an obnoxious list. Goodness, how do you pick one? Well, non-music related. You got me there. Well, one time when I was working at the Redwood, Kristen Wiig came in, the comedian from SNL. So I was a little starstruck because like she's really funny and really cool. But I used to work at a pizza place in Silver Lake, and we had a lot of celebrity customers. So like Natalie Portman would come in with her kids, and Gary Oldman. Okay. Fucking Gary Oldman was one of our regulars, and he was so sweet, and I would always get so nervous because it's Gary Oldman, right? And he would bring his mom in, and he's old, but she was so old, and she was little, and like I would just dote on them, like anything you need, Gary Oldman, like I have got you, let me take care of you, you're Commissioner Gordon, like fucking A. So wow. He's probably one of like maybe the coolest. But I've met so many, it's really obnoxious. And that's just an LA thing. Like I couldn't even like I've been at like stupid parties with like Paris Hilton and stuff like that. And it's like, well, whatever. But it's just LA, so you just kind of just run into people if you're around long enough and you go to enough crazy parties and shit.
Yeah, that makes sense for Los Angeles.
Yeah. So I'm not the only one that's going to have a massive list of just like total random people, like I would have to actually really think about it. Like there's got to be like way more like, like one time I was at like some Cinco de Mayo party and like sat next to Vince Vaughn, but like I didn't realize it was Vince Vaughn. And like Jamie Foxx was like dancing behind my friend, just like we have no business being here because we don't have any money. Like, but we're drinking. So shit like that. It's just LA.
The net worth gap, very, very big.
Yeah. But you just want people to have a good time. You're not trying to. That's the other thing about LA is too. Like you better not fucking talk to anybody. Like just let people have their fun. They're having fun too.
Exactly.
It's kind of the rule.
That makes it like, especially with that kind of stuff. Like people, like even if they're famous, they can still like have fun or do stuff,
Oh yeah, and they should, right? Like
exactly.
They work hard too.
Definitely. Yeah. All right. So now, as we close out this interview, so what's kind of the rest of the plans for you for the rest of this year?
This year, well, I'm having a baby in October, so it's kind of a big one. But I do have something cool coming up. Warped Tour is coming back this year. And Warped Tour is very much a part of my life story. I've played Warped Tour 1,000 times. And the first time I played was when I was 17. And that was a really big deal to me because I had wanted to play on Warped Tour since I was like 14, and then finally getting to do it with Civette was like the biggest deal ever. But I've made a lot of friends through Warped Tour. I went on the Warped Tour cruise. I actually worked on the Warped Tour cruise for PBR, taking photos in 2017 with a friend of mine. Her name's Lisa Johnson, and she's a famous photographer. If you get a chance to look her up, she's taken amazing photos of Nirvana that everybody recognizes. Rage Against the Machine. Honestly, everybody. I couldn't even list her stuff because she's such a legend. She's photographed literally fucking everybody, but she's also one of my best friends in the world. So Lisa is the original Warped Tour photographer. She's been on every single year of Warped Tour since the very beginning. And she will be back this year. Nowadays what she does. Okay, did you ever go to Warped Tour and get one of those like compilation CDs when they were still CDs?
I did not know.
You're a little young for that. They used to not give out, you could buy them, a comp CD. And on the cover was like a great live action band photo, right? Those releases photos every single year. She did the cover of the Warped Tour comp. So she's the Warped Tour photographer. Warped Tour is coming back around this year. We're going to go to the one in DC because now she's doing like a traveling kind of museum, like a photo museum. And that's something she did for a couple of years leading up to this, but it's back. And so I'm going to go and I'm going to speak on a little panel that she's doing with a couple different musicians and telling Warped Tour stories, memories, stuff like that. And then my friend Shira Girl, she has an all-girl stage. It's the Gritty and Pink stage. So I'm going to sing a song with those guys over there. So I'm actually going to do something kind of music related in June at Warped Tour in DC. So that'll be really cool. And then just spending time with my family. We love summertime. Going to go visit some family in Nevada, people who haven't met my son yet. So that'll be really cool. And then there's so much you have to do before a baby comes. Like, I got to start potty training my current child. We got to switch his bedroom. We got to put him in a bigger crib. We got to get him in a new car seat. We got all kinds of shit to do. And then we have to get ready for the baby and just like prep, you know. So that's the big thing.
Well, you're gonna be busy this year.
Yeah, and we've got friends too. My kids got friends. I have friends. You know, we're always doing play dates. We're going out to the creek, running in the water, going to the park, stuff like that. So like, I might not be playing music, but I'm a very busy lady.
For sure. But also having fun with everything as well.
Oh yeah.
All right, so now if you've been watching and listening, where are the best place to find Suzi Moon online?
Definitely still Bandcamp, but it's through Pirates Press Records. So if you don't know Pirates Press Records, they're just an amazing label that has like a ton of fucking bands that are great punk rock bands, some ska bands, some more like hardcore punk style bands, all kinds of rock and roll bands. And that's my rock and roll family who I release all my music through. So if you go to piratespressrecords.com or Pirates Press Records on Bandcamp, you'll find stuff. I'm on Instagram. I don't post as much as I used to, but my handle is at the Suzi Moon, and I do occasionally drop either kind of like Turbulent Hearts memories or like this is what I'm doing with my family right now, stuff like that. Just depends on if I'm doing anything I think people will find interesting. Day to day, I'm not just going to be like, this is my life all day, every day. You know, like, I don't want to see that. And I don't care. I don't think anyone wants to see that either. Like, it's just not my brand. You know, I'd rather just give something like kind of interesting. And I do like to keep it musical. Like, that's what that page is for. It's for my band page, basically. So I don't try to post too much personal stuff. But I do like to share with people who have actually, like, you guys have become my friends. Matt, you've become my friend. You know, a lot of the people that we play with and the fans that we see. And there were so many people that came out and supported us over and over and over again. I like the word fan doesn't really feel like it applies to what I do because I think I know everybody personally. Like, you know, and I generally like the people that I've come to know through playing music, and I'm just thankful for the support. And if anybody likes my music at all, like, that's so fucking cool, you know. And I'm just really grateful that I've been able to do any of this because it's already, if this was it just tomorrow, like that was it, like, great. I had a really good run, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, for sure. And I think, well, that's a fantastic way to wrap up this interview, though, like, for real. But I will, of course, I'll leave some links for the vinyl release and Pirates Press Records. Oh yeah, that's all going to be in the description. Then Suzi Moon on IG as well. So also make sure to pick up one of these shirts because they look badass. So definitely, I'll leave a link for that as well because I really like it. Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it. Yeah, you've been so good to us and just so supportive, so super cool. And I just love chatting with you. You're really good at what you do. Well, thank you. Well, when I get to interview you, it's always so much fun. Yeah, we're gonna have a good. Oh yeah. Like, honestly, we're approaching the hour mark, and like, it didn't feel like that. So you got good questions. Thank you. I write all the material myself. Good for you, man. No ghostwriters here. Keep it that way. Oh yeah, no, for sure. But now we will be closing out this interview, and of course, I will say we got some obviously links in the description. Please check out and support Suzi Moon, but also make sure to pick up the vinyl release, the shirt, whatever you're feeling. Make sure to pick it up as well. Yeah, merch is still important even when bands aren't on tour. 100%, 100%. But for Suzi Moon, I am your host always, Matthew Thomas. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Super Cool Radio. And remember, stay frosty.